welcome to the pre-trip on the road to your mission trip videos. We've got 4 videos that we want to show you all in preparation for our trip to New York. I'm very excited about this. I'm looking forward to being part of that trip with you all. And I just want to take a moment to prepare our hearts as we get on the road to what God would have us to do in New York. One of the things that Jesus said in John 14 verse 6, Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me." Mr. Brent and I are going to be on the road for a couple days to get to New York. And when we think about getting to where Jesus wants him, we need to be with Jesus. Jesus is the way, and so we can follow him. So let's start about talking. We're going to have 4 different videos. We're going to talk about 4 different roads in the Bible, and these different roads were all illustrative of different things that we need to remember as we get ready for a mission trip. The first one we're going to talk about is the Damascus Road today. And then we're going to talk about the road to Mount Moriah and sacrificing your life. We'll talk about the Emmaus Road. And then we'll finally talk about focusing and keeping our eyes on the road. So today we're talking about the Damascus Road. And this talks about Saul's converting and when Jesus changed Saul's life. The Damascus Road talks about remembering our transformation, remembering how Jesus saved us. Let's look at this passage, Acts chapter 9. Verses 1 through 9. It says, "Now Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked for letters from him to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he might found any belonging to the way, both men and women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem." So Saul is on the way to Damascus. Now if you can imagine this is downtown Waco in Texas where I live, and if you can imagine Paul on the way to a city, it may have looked something like this. The road to the city, Paul is almost there. He's on his way so he can find the Christians in the city and throw them in prison. He is vehemently against Jesus. And that was his life before Jesus, was he was trying to persecute the Christians. You can imagine him on his way to the city, but listen to verse 3. "It came about as he journeyed, he approached Damascus, and suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him." So he was getting close to Damascus. I don't know if it looked anything like this, but you can see here, the city's in view, and all of a sudden a light came down from heaven. And he fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to him, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" And he said, "Who art thou, Lord?" And he said, "I am Jesus whom you are persecuting. But rise and enter the city, and it will be told you what you must do." And the men who traveled with him stood speechless, hearing the voice but seeing no one. And Saul got up from the ground, and though his eyes were open, he could see nothing. And leading him by the hand, they brought him into Damascus. And then the story goes on to talk about how Paul became one of the greatest warriors for the gospel of Jesus Christ. Think about this, going to the city. There's 3 things we can take from this, and if you have your sheets, get a pencil ready and be ready to write these down. The first one is remember where you were headed before Jesus saved you. Do you remember back in your life where you were before Jesus got your attention? Before you gave your life to him? Boy, for me, and some of you may have the same story. I wasn't very old when I came to Christ. But you know what? Jesus saved me from a life of sin that I was in. I was a sinful creature, just like anyone who had sinned. The Bible says there's none righteous, no, not one. The second one is remember how Jesus got your attention, how you came to Christ. How did Jesus get your attention? Was it a light that struck in the road like Saul? Was it a message that was preached? Was it something God did through your circumstances that caused you to draw your attention to him? The third one is remember the change in your life Jesus has provided. Boy, I get excited when I talk about the change Jesus has made in my life, because he took me and took a life that really didn't have any meaning to it. Now I have purpose and meaning and a reason to live. In fact, I want to give everything to Jesus, and I pray that's your prayer too, is that you would give your entire life to him. Not only this trip, but your entire life. So those 3 things form a testimony. If you think about those 3 things, you now have your own personal testimony. So I want you to take a few minutes on that paper and write this down. Remember your life before Jesus. What was it like? Where were you? Second thing, remember, just share how Jesus found you and how he got your attention. And third, what's your life been since then? Has Jesus made a change in your life? Boy, I hope you can say all these things with me and say them with excitement. Get ready to share that testimony, because there's people who want to hear your story. So as we revisit this road to Damascus, let's remember our transformation. Let's remember how Jesus changed our lives, and let's ask him to change some other lives in New York. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the next video.